For by the sadness of the countenance, the heart is made better. So that's what I'll be going into. Giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rekah Kodash. Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai is the God and creator of both all things that we know. Yahweh is the Most High. Yahweh Shai is the only begotten Son. Yahweh Shai, through his Father, made all things. Yahweh Shai. So we say, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Shalom, peace and blessings and power and strength unto the men pushing the same work, the same truth. Starting from the elder apostles of the great Millstone Church, on down to everybody in the body of this same spirit, pushing the same message, waiting for America, Babylon to fall. So, for by the sadness of the countenance, the heart is made better. Not your heart that's pumping blood in your chest, your spirit, your mind. Your heart is made better by being in this truth ultimately, by going through this straight gate, these trials, this tribulation to get to the kingdom on this path, following Yahweh Shai. Your heart is made better. It's grievous. It's not joyous, as the scripture says, but it is making your heart better. It is good for you. It's making you gold. It's making you stronger. It's good for the spirit ultimately. It's keeping you sharp. It's keeping you aware. So I'm going to start here. Ecclesiastes 7:2. It is better to go to the house. It is better to go to the house of mourning than to go to the house of feasting. For that is the end of all men, and the living will lay it to his heart. It's better to go to the house of mourning than of feasting. Feasting is the house of ignorance, because that's not the time right now. You go into the house of feasting when the Lord going to come back and burn this whole place down. And everybody that is not aligned with Yahweh Shem Shai is going to get burned down and destroyed. People that are in the house of feasting are going to play out that scripture that says, as in the days of Noah, they were eating and drinking until the flood came, so shall it be when the Lord come back. So it's better to go to the house of mourning, because when you're mourning, now you're in the position of Ezekiel 9:4. Set a mark upon them that sigh and that cry. So it's better to go to the house of mourning where you are sighing and crying. Now you can have the mark of exemption, the Tawah, placed upon you. And now you can receive salvation because you are in the house of mourning. Right? What it said, what Moses did. Well, when it comes up right away. Hebrews 11:25. Hebrews 11:25. It says, I'm sorry, 24. By faith, when he was come to years, by faith Moses, when he was come to years, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of God, of Yahweh Shai, than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season. Clear example of Moses choosing the house of mourning than the house of feasting. And where did that get Moses? Exalted. See, so it's better to go to the house of mourning than the house of feasting. Where are the Egyptians? Dead. I'm not saying they're all dead and eradicated as a whole race, but what happened to the Egyptians? They were eradicated. Not all of them, but they were destroyed. They chased after the Israelites and they were destroyed. So back to the Ecclesiastes 7:3. We're gonna go to 3. Sorrow is better than laughter. Cause ain't shit funny right now. Ain't nothing funny. Cause we not in the kingdom. So all this stuff applies to right now. This is all pre-kingdom. Make sure your head is on straight. And your head is gonna be on straight because you can be kept sober. See, the house of mourning is full of people that are sober. You can't be sober how you should be in the house of feasting. See, be sober, be diligent. You can't really be sober and diligent when you're in the house of feasting. And therefore your heart can't be made better. But, come on now. Really. Be sober. 2 Peter something. 3:11. 1 Peter 5:8. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. So you being sober and vigilant, you can be that way in the house of mourning. That allows you to be sharp. When you're in the house of feasting, you're careless. The spirit of feasting, carelessness, celebratory, like everything's okay. You're celebrating something. What are you celebrating? What are you happy about? And that's not me saying there's nothing wrong to be festive here and there in this captivity. But if you're being festive and you don't know what the hell is going on, you gotta reevaluate. Festive as in, do something here and there. But to be in the spirit of house to feasting means you don't know what the hell going on. So make that clear. But here, be sober. It says circumspect. You can't be circumspect in the house of feasting. You're eating and drinking and marrying, giving into marriage. You're caught up with carnality. When this ain't the time to be, because when you're in the house of feasting, you will be caught up in carnality. If your spirit is in the house of feasting, you're caught up in carnality. Temperate. Circumspect, temperate, sober, calm, collected. To abstain from wine. When again, that's just being sober and being more so in the house of mourning. But again, of course, you can drink wine and all of that. But people that are in the house of feasting, they're just going overboard. They're always eating and feasting and marrying and giving in marriage. That's the house of feasting. So want to make that clear. So this whole point in Ecclesiastes 7:3, sorrow is better than laughter, because this is right now. We're not in the kingdom yet. Sorrow is better than laughter. These are instructions, as brothers say, the Bible, basic instructions before leaving earth. These are instructions. We read these scriptures to get into the right spirit, the right headspace, the right knowledge and understanding and wisdom, so we can get on those ships and then everything can restart. Everything can be okay now. Now it's no longer this no longer is going to apply for us. Sorrow being better than laughter. It's better to go to the house of mourning than the house of feasting. We're in hell. We are in slavery. You need to be sharp. You get comfortable, your heart gets soft. You want to be sharp in the spirit. You want to be always knowing what's going on, never lackadaisical. And when you're in a mourning spirit, you are on edge. And that's how we ought to be. We have to be on edge because we walk, as the scripture says, we walk in the peril of our overthrowing. As the scripture also says, this is the valley of the shadow of death. So we have to be on edge. We have to be alert. And we cannot do that in the house of feasting. See, you're sharper. It says, for by the sadness of the countenance, the heart is made better. And this is possible, being in the house of mourning. I'm going to go to the next verse. The mind of the wise is in the house of mourning. See, the wise versions, the wise ones, the ones that's obtaining wisdom is in the house of mourning. But the heart of fools is in the house of mirth. So you are a fool if you are caught up to fulfill the scripture of marrying and giving in marriage and eating and drinking, and the Lord came on and surprised your ass. So the heart of the wise is in the house of mourning. See, wise. They're obtaining wisdom. They are deemed wise because they reside in the house of mourning. So their countenance is being made better day by day. They're being sharper in the spirit. They're gaining knowledge and understanding. It's much better to be right here. So we're going to move on and get the rest of these scriptures, all tying into this point that the sadness of the countenance, the heart is made better. Now we're going to go here. Yep, it's a good one. So we'll start here to show you what's going on in the house of mourning that's making the heart better. What's going on in the house of mourning? This is the house of mourning. Sirach 4. Get a little context. We'll start at verse 11. Wisdom exalteth her children and layeth hold of them that seek her. So for the context, this is talking about wisdom. Jumping down, verse 17. For at the first, she, again, talking about wisdom, for at the first she will walk with him by crooked ways and bring fear and dread upon him and torment him with her discipline until she may trust his soul and try him by her laws. See, imagine being in that state where you're walking in crooked ways and you have this fear and dread upon you and torment on you. That's the house of mourning right there. And that's wisdom putting you through that. See, you're being tried by this powerful, holy wisdom that's more precious than fine gold. It's more precious than these rubies that was here before the earth was made. This that wisdom that you are dealing with in the house of mourning. So she's putting you through that, trying you through Yahweh Shem Shah, of course. Trying you. So verse 18, then she will return the straight way unto him and comfort him and shew him her secret. See, it's better to go to the house of mourning because you're going to get comforted and you're going to be shown her secrets. Wisdom is going to show you her secrets. This same wisdom that was here before the earth was made. This same powerful wisdom that I ain't even going to go into all these scriptures. Proverbs 8. Or is it 3? Yeah, the Proverbs 3. Talking about wisdom, how, you can just jump it down, jump through. or is it 8 or 3 and 8, something like that. But this the same wisdom of Proverbs 3:15. She is more precious than rubies, and all things thou canst desire are not to be compared to her. How Solomon and in the wisdom of Solomon was talking about wisdom. So this same wisdom, Proverbs 3:13, happy is the man that findeth wisdom, and the man that getteth understanding. You cannot find wisdom in the house of feasting. So you're not going to be a happy man that find wisdom, nor one that getteth understanding. Getteth understanding. Because you are in the house of feasting and your heart cannot be made better. You have a dull brain, a little soft, squishy brain that's dull and not perceptive. You don't know what the hell going on. You're weak and faithless. And to be faithless is weak as fuck. And you're not pleasing the Lord at all. Hebrews 11:6. You can't please the Lord without faith. So it's that wisdom that you can obtain and deal with and train, walk with, and that's gonna make your heart better. But that's in the house of mourning. And this is what you want, because it's gonna get you all the way to immortality. Immortality. All right, moving on. James 1:3. Knowing this, that the trying of your faith. Nope. This is what we're gonna go to. Sirach 2. And Sirach, no, what? Sirach 2. For gold is tried in the fire. Sirach 2:5. For gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. So this is the house of mourning. You're being tried as gold in the house of mourning by wisdom, by Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. Zechariah 13:9. And I will bring the third part through the fire, the elect, the ones that are in the house of mourning. This is talking about that 1/3. And I will bring the third part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined, and I will try them as gold is tried. See, these trials and tribulation, because the 1/3 is not going to feel the actual fire from the nuclear missiles and World War III. This is the trials and tribulation. See, because when you go back to that Sirach 2, it says, for gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity, the house of mourning. So these are highly, highly, highly esteemed men that are in the house of mourning right now. That's why it said it is better to go to the house of mourning. Jump back there real quick. Ecclesiastes 7:2. I'm finishing in 3. It is better to go to the house of mourning than to go to the house of feasting, for that is the end of all men, and the living will lay it to his heart. Sorrow is better than laughter, for by the sadness of the countenance the heart is made better. So this is the trials and tribulations, the Acts 14:22. Through much tribulation shall ye enter into the kingdom of heaven. It's bitter right now. It's grievous right now. We are sad. We're sighing and crying. But our hearts and our minds are being renewed day by day. And it is being made better, because we are being made golden, made extremely, extremely golden and rare, more precious than fine gold. More precious than fine gold. We are being worked on to be rulers of a new world. of the new world to come, of the kingdom. Our hearts is being made, and our spirits and our hearts are being constructed to be fit for that job and for that role, to be of the governing body of the kingdom of heaven that's going to be on earth. That's why it's far better to be in the house of mourning right now. It's the way it's set. This is the way it's set. And finish the scripture. And I will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people. And they shall say, the Lord, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, is my power. Now I'm going to go here. James 1 and 3. Knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. But let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing. So, you're going to be perfect. Absolute perfect. In need of nothing. In this house of mourning. Trying your faith. Again, being tried. In this process. That's currently sad, but it's, of that sad countenance. Because I keep quoting and thinking about it, so I'm going to pull it up. Hebrews 12 and 11 says, Now no chastening for the present seemeth to be joyous, but grievous. Nevertheless, afterward it yieldeth the peaceable fruit of righteousness unto them which are exercised thereby. That's exactly what this is talking about in Sirach 4 and 17. For at the first she will walk with him by crooked ways, and bring fear and dread upon him, and torment him with her discipline, until she may trust his soul and try him by her laws. And that's that's that first part of the present right now is not joyous but grievous. That's that grievous of the current present. The chastening of Yahweh Shem Shai, of wisdom. But verse 18, then she will return the straight way unto him and comfort him and shew him her secrets. Man, them secrets of wisdom, immortality. Immortality, to say the least. But that's not the least. But to say the least as far as words. To say the least amount of words right now. Immortality. And then going back to this verse, afterward it yielded the peaceable fruit of righteousness, the secrets of wisdom, the comfort of wisdom. After she proved us, it's going to be fire. It's going to be beautiful. So, man, it's better to be in the house of mourning. It is better to be in the house of mourning than in the house of feasting. And it's another one. Sirach 1 and 17, points in 18. And I gave my heart to know wisdom and to know madness and folly. I perceive that this also is vexation of spirit. Here's the point. For in much wisdom is much grief, and he that increaseth knowledge increaseth sorrow. See, so that's what it is. So the sadness of the countenance, the heart is made better. So as you increase in wisdom, you're going to increase in grief. You increase in knowledge, you're going to increase in sorrow. It's being in the house of mourning. And it's also like Solomon's case. The more you know, you become in a certain spirit vexed. This world ain't shit. You're no longer in the state of ignorance is bliss, like a child Their ignorance is bliss. They have no worries. They don't know anything. But when you know everything, that's like a no, it's not like it is a burden. When you know everything and you know that everything is fucked up, like children tend to be happy. Children tend to be happy because everything is bliss and they have no worries and they don't know anything. But the more you know, you increase in grief and sorrow. So, to say the least. So back to that Ecclesiastes 7:3, sorrow is better than laughter. For by the sadness of the countenance, the heart is made better. So that's what's going on. Heart can be made better only through the sadness of the countenance, only through the straight gate, only through going through the trials that wisdom and how about Shemashai is putting you through this path to the kingdom. So I says it's better to be here. And that's why Moses did what he did to suffer the afflictions, because that was the wise choice. Second Ezra 7:9. If this city now were given unto a man for an inheritance, the kingdom of heaven, this city, if he shall never pass the danger set before it, how shall he receive this inheritance? So you got to get through it to get to it. As I hear brothers be saying. Um, yeah, as brothers be saying. Um, Acts 14:22. So this kingdom ain't for you. If you rather be in the house of feasting, enjoy the pleasures of this world, the pleasures, and be all in those and abusing the world of America, the opposite of what Moses did. I think I'm looking for something. I can't. Right. All right. I'll probably close it off here. We'll see. But something I kept thinking about, and I think quoting too, with with the wisdom, just giving honor and glory and if you will, but just really uh, talking about wisdom more so, or I should say, how will basically wisdom is what it is. That for terrible exclamation, but I'm just read these, uh, just showing how great wisdom is basically. So this is the context. Wisdom Solomon 8:1. Wisdom reaches from one end to another mightily and sweetly doeth she order all things. Verse 5, if riches be a possession to be desired in this life, what is richer than wisdom that worketh all things? So this is all talking about wisdom. So when I get to this point, there's another one, but this one, 13 and 17. That immortality that I said. Wisdom Solomon 8:13. Moreover, by the means of her wisdom, I shall obtain immortality and leave behind an everlasting memorial to them that come after me. So you should see how better it is to be in the house of mourning. What it really is talking about when your heart is being made better by the sadness of a countenance. When you're in the house of mourning, the heart is made far better, far much greater, much better. Moreover, by the means of her, this wisdom that's gonna take you through straits and this mourning and the dread and crooked ways. But when she return unto you, your heart's gonna be made better times a million, and you gonna obtain immortality. Verse 17. Now, when I considered these things in myself and pondered them in my heart, how that to be allied unto wisdom is immortality. and great pleasure it is to have her friendship. And in her works of her hands are infinite riches. And in the exercise of conference with her, prudence, and in the talking with her, a good report, I went about seeking how to take her to me. So I went about seeking how to take her to me. So yeah, so that's the point. Wisdom is what you want. You get that in this house of mourning, seeking after the Lord, seeking after Yahweh Shemi Shai, bowing down your neck to wisdom and allowing it, open yourself up to all this. Simply just being in the house of mourning with Yahweh Shemi Shai and the believers, being afflicted with his people. I'm gonna just I'll probably close it on that. You know, like Moses did, be afflicted with us. Be afflicted with us. Hebrews 11 and 25. Choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of God than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season. You choosing them afflictions, you being made better. So that's the point. Poem was made. Closing out. Shalom. Shalom.